got a brand new indicator dedicated to the measurement of volume. The new MMT Ultimate Volume. It's got a built-in volume profile working in the background. It's also got a special cumulative volume feature. Much like the MMT Ultimate Wave that is measuring a custom cumulative delta, the new Ultimate Volume indicator can measure cumulative volume with a customizable look-back period. It's also got some very special volume zones on the chart. This is taking extreme low volume and extreme high volume and plotting those zones on the chart. I've got a couple different options for measuring the current session's high and low volume zones or a previous session's high and low volume zones, as well as being able to combine multiple previous sessions into a composite. So the ultimate volume indicator is painting the candlesticks. It's got this histogram. It's painting these zones. I've got two different signals based off of volume. The ultimate volume indicator is dedicated to new and exciting ways to measure volume on the charts. I've never seen an indicator that measures volume like this, so stick around and I'll show you all the available settings and parameters and some of the ways that I'm using this indicator in my own personal trading. This NQ 1-minute chart only has the MMT Ultimate Volume indicator on the chart, so I can more easily show you what the indicator is doing. I've been using this indicator in my trade workspace setup, catching some really great trades off of these zones. So in my Ultimate Flow workspace setup, I've got the new Ultimate Volume indicator on the 5-minute chart and the 1-minute chart. So on the 5-minute chart, I've got the previous session low and high volume zones. And on the 1-minute chart, I've got the current session high and low volume zones. So the previous session volume zones will not change. These will stay the same all day long. The current session zones will change as the day progresses. So for the current zones, if I see a high volume area and it's somewhere near price, I might be looking for a price to pull back into that high volume zone. And with the previous session volume zones, I'm more looking for rejections. So on this 1-minute chart, I've got the default settings of the Ultimate Volume indicator. So on this particular 1-minute chart, these are the previous session low and high volume zones. So these will not change throughout the day, but these are the default colors, the default histogram. The signals are not activated as default, so the only thing that I did is turn on both of these signals. I've got a volume reversal signal and I've got a volume divergence signal. So once again, these zones are being measured from a built-in volume profile running in the background. Some of the things that I'm looking for on a regular volume profile, I just wanted to make them easier to see and more automated. So I took some of the things that I'm looking for on a regular volume profile and put them into this indicator. So I've got some playback data loaded. See, we just came down to this previous session low volume zone. I've got volume divergence. I've also got a volume reversal. So I'm going to go ahead and get into a long. We've had a nice move down in pre-market already. Got a bunch of other key levels down here. I'd like to see it come up and at least test these previous highs. Right, so there was 20 points right at the open there. We've got another volume reversal signal. So the volume histogram went bullish here. And then on the next candle, this is running in real time. So this is going to change from red to green, live in real time, depending on what the volume histogram is seeing in its measurements. So this candle just closed with a pretty big bottom wick and another volume reversal signal. We've got volume picking up and the cumulative volume is still bullish here. I'm going to go for one more long, especially if we break out of this above this previous high. I think we'll pop up a little bit here. Got about 10 seconds left and we've got a nice bottom wick. Volume is increasing. It's still bullish on the cumulative volume. Okay, so we just broke above that previous high. Got the take profit there. So let's take a look under the hood at the new MMT Ultimate Volume. So these are the default settings. Besides, these two signals are usually turned off. But if you want to turn the two arrow signals on, you can just activate these toggles. So in the main category, I've got the volume calculation mode for the zones. Right now it is in session mode. So down below, I've got current session high volume zones and low volume zones, then also historical volume zones that you can turn on or off individually. I'll show you more about that in a little bit. There's also a look back mode. If I wanted to go into look back mode, I can choose a custom amount of bars to look back. So if I want to measure the high and low volume zones for the last 500 bars or 1,000 bars, any number that I like, I can do that as well. I've got the zones extended to the edge, all the way to the right edge of the chart right there. If I unclick that, these zones will only extend to the last completed current bar. Signals on price change. So by default, all of these signals are only calculated on bar close, even if the main indicator setting is set to on price change, which it is by default. So this way I'm seeing the candle color and the histogram live in real time, but the signals are only calculating on bar close. If I want to see these signals calculate on price change, along with the histogram and the bar color, I can just activate this toggle, and then I will start seeing signals appear intra-bar. So here's the volume wave histogram. This is just like the ultimate wave histogram, except this is based off of volume. I've got the current wave look back set to 5, so it's taking into consideration volume and price action for the last 5 candles, and I'm getting this special custom cumulative volume wave histogram. If I just wanted to see a regular volume histogram for each bar individually, I can put the wave look back period to a 1, and then it will look like a regular volume histogram. Anything above 1, and it will be a special cumulative volume histogram. So you could have 5, 10, 20, any number you like. I've got the option to paint the candle bodies and the outlines. There's also an option to activate fading for both the candles and the histogram. So if I turn these on, you can see I now have up to 4 different colors for the candles and the histogram. But for now, I've just been enjoying the basic, simple, bullish or bearish histogram without having the different fading colors activated. And also, like the MMT Ultimate Wave, I've got histogram divergence available. So if I turn this on, I can paint the bodies or the outlines of the candles. So now I've got this black inside of the candles when I've got histogram divergence. And then I've got 2 different signals based off of volume. I've got a volume divergence signal. The default settings are actually 85 and 15. I've made these numbers a little bit more extreme. I've got overbought 90, oversold 10. You could even go 95 and 5 if you want to see even stronger signals. If you want to get more signals on your chart, you could do 80 and 20 or 70 and 30. And with the divergence look back, if you want to see less signals, stronger signals, you could bump this number up to 100 or 200. If you want to see some more divergence signals on your chart, you could lower this number to 20. Always highly recommend playing around with the signals, especially for the volume reversal. I've got a bunch of different measurements that I wanted to play around with, but I am still playing around with the settings, trying to find the best possible settings for the instrument and the time frame that I like to trade. So I definitely recommend playing around with the settings, finding something that works best for you, for the instruments and the time frames that you like to trade. For both of these signals, I've got custom offsets and colors for the arrows. Then I've got the current session volume zones. This would also apply to the custom look back zones. I've got these turned off by default. There's custom opacities, custom colors for all the zones. There's separate opacities and colors for the historical zones as well. And these 2 numbers, the high volume zone percent and the low volume zone percent, these 2 numbers will apply to both the current zones and the historical zones. So there's a built-in volume profile working in the background, and right now anything above 80% volume is going to print a high volume zone, and anything below 5% is going to print a low volume zone. So if you wanted to see less high volume zones, you could bump this up higher to a 90. If you wanted to see more high volume zones, you could tune this down to 70. Same with the low volume. If you want to see more low volume zones, you could bump this up to 10, 15, 20. If you want to see less, you could lower this number. So I've got the historical volume zones activated on this 1-minute chart. I'm just looking back 1 session So it's measuring the high and low volume zones for just the previous session, but I could bump this number up to a 3 if I wanted, or even higher, and then it will look back 3 sessions, and it will plot all of the different high and low volume zones for the last 3 sessions. And then you can go into a special composite mode. You can combine all the previous sessions' volume. It will make a special composite volume profile in the background. It will put all that information together and then plot a composite high and low volume zones for the last 3 sessions if you have this toggle activated. I've just been keeping it simple. On my 5-minute chart, I've got the previous session zones, and on my 1-minute chart for my regular workspace, I've got the current session zones. I've got these 2 activated, and then I'll turn off the historical zones on my 1-minute chart. The historical volume zones do not move throughout the day. The current session or the current look back high volume and low volume zones will change throughout the day. So those are all the settings and parameters available for the MMT Ultimate Volume. Lots of new and unique ways to measure volume. So a little bit further in the morning, we've got price retracing, but the cumulative volume is still positive as we're pulling down back to these previous lows, getting some nice bottom wicks, and we get a nice move to the upside there. Here we have the volume wave histogram turning bearish. After the close of this candle, we popped down over 20 points right after the close. Nice little opportunity for a potential scalp there. We were also bearish on the flow stack back here. So in this next candle, the ultimate volume histogram went back to being bullish. We started getting some bottom wicks down here. The volume histogram is staying bullish. We get a nice push back to the upside. We had some strong delta coming in on the ES there. Got point of control down in the wicks of these candles. Always factoring in a lot of different things in my trading. There's no one magic indicator that's going to make anyone a better trader overnight. The indicators are just measuring data and displaying that data on your charts. It's up to each individual trader to decide what to do with that information. There's never going to be a replacement for personal experience or time in the markets. So here we got a nice bearish candle close. We went bearish on the volume profile histogram here, the ultimate volume histogram, and we had a volume reversal signal and a really big top wick. So we got the price action with the big top wick, we got the volume reversal signal, and we got the ultimate volume histogram going bearish right there. You can also see the volume getting stronger here on the histogram compared to the previous bar. So these are just some of the things that I'm looking for in my own personal trading, some possible ways to use this indicator. The MMT Ultimate Volume is available now. There are links in the description. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I wish you best of luck in your trading. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.